Coming up in today's video, I have reason to believe that a few big moves might be coming for the New Orleans Saints. And one of those moves involves a Super Bowl champion. The other one, Alvin Kamara. So do you want the New Orleans Saints to extend AK-41? If you're yes, or if you want him to, just like the video. If not, you don't want him to be extended. You want him just to move on. You want the Saints to move on and really embrace this reset. Just get in the comment section. Explain your thoughts, because not only am I curious, I know other fans are going to want to hear what you have to say. But Who Dat Nation, it's your turn to voice your opinion, and let's get started with today's show. So I was trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to discuss in today's video, and after doing a little bit of research, I was actually pretty shocked to find out that the New Orleans Saints and Alvin Kamara have actually reopened their contract restructure and their extension discussions, and that's a report that came in from Nick Underhill yesterday. So, if we just hop in our time machine, we rewind just a couple of months ago, before everything has happened, before those awesome first 2 weeks and before the terrible last 5 weeks, extension talks were halted. Alvin Kamara said that he wanted to focus on the season. The talking is over. It's too late to have a conversation about it. He wants to focus on playing football and winning with the New Orleans Saints this year. And I thought that was a really good idea, and I thought that was a really good move, and honestly a very professional move for Alvin Kamara as well. And in terms of just some clarity here, extensions typically involve money. You think Hassan Reddick, you think some of these guys who are holding out, earlier in the offseason, or not in the offseason, earlier in the season, and then just previous years, players that have held out that are seeking more money. That's not the situation for Alvin Kamara. He's actually just seeking guaranteed years on his contract, because after this year, he has no more guaranteed money with the New Orleans Saints, and it's absolutely no mystery that he wants to retire a Saint. That's something that he's been very vocal about. He's made posts about it on Twitter. He's made comments about it in press conferences, and in the most recent situation, there was some ridiculous, insane rumors that some jackass decided to take to Twitter and said, hey, sources tell me that Alvin Kamara has officially requested a trade. AK literally quote tweeted it and said, this is false. And then Nick Underhill saying, if anything, he quote tweeted AK's response, said, if anything, AK would like to find a way to finish his career here. Correct. So obviously, Alvin Kamara does not want to be traded. If you thought that he did, I'm so sorry to be the bearer of bad news or to burst your bubble or whatever. He ain't going anywhere as of right now. At least he doesn't want to go anywhere. And in my personal opinion, I do believe that Alvin Kamara deserves to retire as a New Orleans Saint. There's been a lot of good players in franchise history, don't get me wrong. But when it comes to the top running backs in franchise history, I think in no particular order, they're all, a little bit different skill sets, and they all were playing it, not Kamara and Ingram, but point being, Deuce McAllister, Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara, in no particular order, best three running backs in franchise history. I think that he deserves to retire as Saint. He's done enough for this organization. And he's still playing at a high enough level where it makes sense to keep him around. And to be quite honest, I don't think if you do extend him and you do keep him around for the foreseeable future, it's not like he needs to be this workout horse running back. It's not like he needs all of these carries and all of this production and all of these moves to happen. And for me personally, I do think that Kamara would be okay with taking a back seat and being just a good veteran leader, riding it out, finishing out his career where he wants to be. And so I just want to say this. If anything happens with Alvin Kamara, we'll keep you guys updated, and this is why you subscribe. Plus, the NFL trade deadline, it's 15 days away. It's 2 weeks away, technically a little bit more, but 2 weeks, November 5th. There's something else kind of big happening that day. I don't know, probably not that big of a deal, but the big news is the NFL trade deadline, so be sure to subscribe, because not only are we going to be informing y'all of stuff every day leading up to the deadline, we're also going to be breaking down every single move that happens or may happen around the New Orleans Saints on trade deadline day. So friendly reminder, subscribe. Maybe an extension happens soon. Maybe something happens. I will add this when it comes to Alvin Kamara. I forgot to mention, Nick Underhill did report that nothing is imminent. So something could happen. Something probably won't happen soon. But I can guarantee you this. If anything does happen, if there are any updates, we got you covered. All right, so coming up next, I just kind of wanted to have a conversation about like, well, what if we do move on from Alvin Kamara? What if we want to keep Alvin Kamara? Like, what's kind of the future of the running back room going to look like? And I got a lot of interesting thoughts. I got a lot of interesting perspective that I want to share here, plus some targets that the Saints could go and sign, maybe draft this offseason. So be sure to stick around. But first, I got to give a shout out to today's presenting sponsor. I'm actually really excited to tell y'all about today's sponsor. Y'all know I love my dog, dude. He's my best friend, my homie. And I got to tell you, he's a guy who's had some stomach issues in the past, been trying to find a new food for him. And thanks to Ollie, they are today's presenting sponsor. I believe I found the right food for my dog. Today's episode is brought to you by Ollie, clean, fresh nutrition for your dog. Right now, Ollie is offering a fantastic deal to let your pup taste a personalized meal plan. Get 60% off your first box of meals when you use promo code CHATSPORTS at ollie.com. With no harmful fillers, no preservatives, Ollie is made in the U.S. kitchens with ingredients carefully sourced from trusted growers and producers all around the world. And hey, like I said, look how good of a boy that is. You think he knows grub? I can tell you his dad does. So I know for a fact that my buddy dude absolutely loves it. He's a big fan of that sweet potato one you see in the picture right there. We can go to this one. I mean, look at him. He's just devouring it. He loves it. Ollie, it's nutritious. It tastes great. And I'm going to just keep it real with you. So sorry. Transparency's sake, he's got some bowel issues. He kind of has the runs every once in a while, unlike the Saints' run defense. That being said, Ollie, I've noticed a significant difference ever since we put him on this dog food. Now, here's how it works. You fill out Ollie's 30-second quiz, and they'll create a customized meal plan. Ollie then crunches the numbers and recommends the right recipes and daily portions for your pup. For any first-time users, Ollie will send out your pup's first box with 2 weeks worth of meals and a guide of how to gradually switch them over to their new diet. Customize your plan. Ollie offers 3 meal plans to choose from, so you can choose between a full fresh plan, fresh topper plan, or a mixed plan with their freshly baked recipes. Again, dude is a guy who loves to make a mess and he loves to get after it when it's dinner time and it's breakfast. So if you want your dog to start living a healthier, longer, and happier life, you got to get started with Ollie. So head on over to ollie.com. Tell them all about your dog and use code CHATSPORTS and you'll get 60% off your first box of meals when you subscribe today. Reminder, that's OLLIE.com and enter code CHATSPORTS. Code CHATSPORTS at ollie.com to get 60% off your first box. They offer a clean bowl guarantee on their first box. So if you're not completely satisfied, or neither is your pup, you can get your money back. All right, so shout out to Ollie, first of all. Love that product. My dog loves it. You guys got to get started. But anyway, let's talk about Kendre Miller because I think you have 3 options with the current state and with the future of the running back group. The first option is on your roster. It's not Jamal Williams. I'm good. Not long term. I'm not interested in keeping Jamal Williams after this season, to be quite honest. Kendre Miller, though, he is a player who I'm very, very intrigued about. There's obvious concerns and there's obvious issues around his availability, and the best ability, you know what I'm saying here, is availability. And there are obvious issues with the injuries of him and him staying healthy and getting out on the field. But when he has been on the field, like, dare I say, he's been pretty impressive. He fired off an 8-yard run in his debut in his very first carry of the season this year on Thursday Night Football. That was really nice to see. And then the Saints moved away from giving the ball to Kendre Miller again until the fourth quarter, which made no sense. But this is a player even last year against the Colts and against the Patriots and against the Falcons. He proved that he has really nice speed. He's extremely athletic. The contact balance, just the overall balance as a whole, it's really impressive that a guy his size can move around so smoothly. It's like a hot knife cutting through butter. And to get and to top it all off, he has phenomenal field vision. He knows exactly where he's going to go. He can look really quick and make his cuts to you. When you watch Kendre Miller highlights, I really encourage you, look at the footwork and look at the eye, like his head, his eyes, and his hips. I mean, he moves so impressively. But so here's option 1. There's a player on the roster that the future could be built around. You let Kendre Miller be the workhorse back. Alvin Kamara takes a back seat, and hey, the two of them just make something happen. But Maybe you don't do that. Maybe you do want to go and add a running back. Maybe you want to add some talent. Aaron Jones, one of the best running backs up to this point in the season so far. He's a really intriguing player, only on a 1-year, $7 million deal. So maybe he's a player that could add some, little pop to the Saints offense. James Conner, both of the, pretty much all of these, except for Javonte Williams, are approaching 30 years old. Javonte Williams actually still pretty young in his career. So that could be an option that the Saints could potentially look to go and bring in. He's a good running back. He had a good game against the Saints. We're not going to rehash it, but I think any of these options could be intriguing and could maybe add some talent to the running back group, which outside of Alvin Kamara and, very limited from Kendre Miller, hasn't really been all that impressive this year. But, we don't have a lot of money to spend. You know who's cheap? Rookies! Rookies are really cheap. So may I fancy you in an Ashton Jeanty New Orleans Saints career? How fun would that be? How fun would it be to see this every play? Before every play. He's mean mugging it, standing behind the line of scrimmage. You could also go get Ollie Gordon, who's a really, really good running back out of Oklahoma State. Amarian Hampton, really talented from UNC. But these two guys, I'm fully aware I'm a homer on this for the record. Raheem Sanders, they call, a.k.a. Rocket Sanders, he was at the University of Arkansas. And I'll tell you what, this man, legitimately might be 99.98% muscle. I am not kidding. He is a literal brick wall. He is a cinder block with legs who's extremely fast and extremely athletic and very, very, very tough to bring down. But Jaquinden Jackson, he's another player to keep an eye on, and he's a really good part of the Arkansas Razorbacks offense who, say what you want, maybe they're good, maybe they're bad. Jury's still out if you ask me, but I will say this. He is one of the bright spots and consistent good spots for this Arkansas Razorbacks offense. And between any of those five guys, not only do they bring speed and a dynamic element to the offense, but most of these guys, too, are also big-bodied bruisers that I think can be really effective in this New Orleans Saints offense. And then just to kind of round things out, my point being, you can either do one of three things. You can just bring him, not one of three, one of two things. You can do one of two things. My point being, you have options. You can still build for the future, do a little bit of a soft reset, maybe do a couple of soft reset moves every offseason until eventually the cap situation works out, understanding that the cap number increases every year. Or you could try to go and win right now and continue to do this, continue to kick the can down, and Alvin Kamara is still in the picture. So either way, if you want to keep Alvin Kamara around and you want to have him be a part of the picture, you can still make that happen. But I don't necessarily think a backfield of Alvin Kamara and James Conner necessarily makes a lot of sense. I think it makes a ton of sense if you're doing a little Kendre Miller and Alvin Kamara action, or a little AK and Kendre and Ashton Jeanty are the two young guys duking it out to see who's going to get RB2 carries, or in different situations in situational football can provide a different skill set. My point being, you have options. Alvin Kamara could be a part of the future, and it could still be a good move, but you also can get away with, you know what, AK, he's been great. We just want him to take a back seat, and let's just give Kendre Miller more options and more opportunities, or just move on entirely and bring in Nick Chubb or, Aaron Jones or something. But we talked a lot about AK. Last video that we made was about a trade. I don't think anything is going to happen with him anytime soon, but what's your favorite memory? What's been your favorite Alvin Kamara memory? Mine, I'm so sorry, Seeps. It was before I knew you were producing this video, I did not have this graphic build. I'm just going to say for the record. The 6 touchdowns in 2020 against the Vikings on Christmas Day. I mean, one of the best days of my life as a football fan. But I also will say, the one game against the Packers very early into his season when he took that 50-yard screen pass. Against the Packers, that was electric. So get in the comments. I'm curious. What's your favorite memory of Alvin Kamara so far in his career? All right. To round things out, remember I told you we're going to go through running back options, and now Super Bowl champion coming to New Orleans? Ian Rappaport, yesterday, he put this out. Marquez Valdes Scantling coming into New Orleans for a visit, and we do have some updated information around this. Dennis Allen saying that the meeting has gone well so far. He's still in New Orleans on a meeting. So to be quite honest, he's at the facility right now as we speak. He had a good workout this morning. So to be quite honest, you could see a second video here in a few hours of Marquez Valdes Scantling signing with the black and gold. And it is a massive, 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 massive need here in New Orleans. Chris Olave, he's still in concussion protocol, unfortunately. Rashid Shaheed's season is over after having a surgery on his meniscus. So that means 3 out of your 5 wide receivers are rookies. And 2 out of those 3 are undrafted free agents. So, yeah, we might need some help. Marquez Valdes Scantling most recently played with the Bills, spent some time with the Chiefs, spent some time with the Packers, but this year so far, 6 games played, 2 receptions, 26 total yards, not a ton of production, not a ton of opportunities, but he was in Buffalo where that offense is always humming. And so, you know, when it comes to Marquez Valdes Scantling and whether or not the move makes sense, I don't know. I don't really both sides of the coin makes sense to me. I don't really have an opinion on it. Like, yeah, we need help. We need wide receivers, no doubt about it. He's not going to cost you all that money. And to be honest, the Saints right now are just very, very injured, and they're trying to stay afloat. And when you are very, very injured, that's kind of the only thing you can do when you don't necessarily have the best leadership making decisions or, you know, calling the shots and making coaching decisions. But I will say this. You have the 5th overall pick right now. Again, I've never, ever, ever been a supporter of tanking. It's pretty tempting right now. It's something that's pretty hard to not like, not want. I don't know. Like, I mean, I was talking about it with some of the guys in the office today. Who are the players that are going to get drafted in the top 5? I don't know why, but maybe Shador, Cam Ward, Will Campbell. There's going to, I'm sorry, Travis Hunter, and then like throw in the Texas offensive tackle, throw in the edge rusher out of Tennessee, throw in a couple of these different players. It really is a great opportunity to get a really, really good player when you're trying to build for the future. Now, all of that being said, yes, I could understand why you would want to tank. But where I'm not going to give up is if you can get a couple of key players back. You get Taysom Hill, you get Chris Olave, you get Derek Carr, you get Eric McCoy, you get Pete Werner. You get some of those back. You don't even have to get all 5 of them. You get 3 out of those 5 back. Things will improve. You may not like it. You may not want to see them improve. But when you put starters on the field as opposed to third stringers playing in different positions or where they don't typically line up, then yes, things will improve. You have to get healthy. You have to find a way to stay afloat. And right now, that's what the New Orleans Saints are doing. I will say this. I commend them for trying to stay on top of it. I commend them for wanting to stay competitive and just not giving up on the season. That's something I will say, like, in all seriousness, I do appreciate that about my football team. But that being said, it's some tough decisions to make moving forward here. So a couple big moves could be coming. One could be coming here sooner rather than later. Other than that, Alvin Kamara might be getting an extension after all. So we'll have to see what happens here. But I just need you guys get in charge here. What should the Saints do for the rest of the season? Like, this is an open-ended question. Because it's an open-ended discussion. You want to tank? Let's have a conversation about tanking. You want to go make a trade? Let's have a conversation about trading for Max Crosby or for trading for Myles Garrett or something. When you want to have a conversation about selling the team and trading away all of our assets and all of our players, okay. I just need you to have a conversation with me. What should the Saints do the rest of the season? And after that, y'all can hop on out of here. Y'all stay golden. I will see you next time.